everyone. Welcome to this week's Fireside Creators. I am your host, Reverend Dr. Sherry Palace. So this week's show was inspired by the new Christmas movie, Spirited, with Will Ferrell. It's the Dickens A Christmas Carol adaptation that asks the age-old question, is everyone redeemable? Can people change? So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe. If you're on Facebook, please grant StreamYard access so we can see your name when you comment or have a question. You can remain anonymous if you'd like. Please remember to keep all questions and comments related to the show topic and that this is a safe space. I want to give a shout out to our top sponsors, Ruth, Kirsten, Michelle, Ray, and Heidi. Thank you guys so much for your support and generosity. If you enjoy the show, consider supporting it. You can go to sherrypalace.com and use the support tab, and there are literally dozens of ways to show me and the show support. Thank you in advance. But more importantly, thanks for being here and welcoming us into your home. I appreciate you. Okay, on with the show. Let's meet our guests and get smarter. First, we have Beth Anne Doan. Beth Anne is a follower of the Universal Christ, tiller of soil, dog lover, embracer of the divine feminine and moon, and multi-faith chaplain who specializes in elder care and caregiver support. Welcome back, Beth.
Well, hello.
So good to have you.
All excited to be here.
Can't wait to talk about this.
Oh, I know. The movie.
Next, we have my favorite producer in the world and lovable guest, Ana Garcias Lucas. She was born and raised in New Mexico. She is a mother, wife, veteran, and a survivor. She earned her MDiv at Episcopal Divinity School and Bexley Seabury Seminary. She's in the middle of her Lutheran year at Pacific Lutheran Theological Seminary, and she is a Reformed Catholic, spiritual mystic, usually a heretic, a lover of coffee, music, green chilies, and jokes. Welcome, Ana. It's so good to have you here on screen.
Hey.
Thank you. And last but definitely not least, we have the award winner for the shortest bio ever. Andrew Wilson is an Anglican priest between gigs, and he wins that award. Hello.
Sorry. When those popped up, I'm like, oh, mine's a little thin.
Yeah, you mean my only producer? Yes, she's my only producer, but she's my favorite. So I wanted to have this attempt at full disclosure. Anna made me watch this movie. And I am so...
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alerts all over the place. So if you haven't seen it, stop and then come back to this. And we will, and then you can catch up and know everything that we're talking about. But it does ask the age-old question, can people change? Are people redeemable? And my personal opinion, just to get it out there, is I think so. But like the movie states, I think that trauma needs to occur for that to happen. Someone needs to hit the bottom of the barrel to force that change because people are so apprehensive for it. Do you agree?
Yes. First, the old Charles Dickens, right? Scrooge and all those. I was a kid when I first watched it. Those ghosts scared me to death. I hated them. Who was it? The ghost of Christmas Present and those two little kids, the starving kids underneath his skirt or whatever, scared me. It didn't scare me straight. I was still a horrible person after that. But it did stay in the back of my mind. So keep that in mind. And full disclosure as well, the only reason I watched this is because number one, Ryan Reynolds, number two, Octavia Spencer, and number three, Will Ferrell. So that was the selling point. I wasn't quite sure about the rest or what it would even be like, but that was the selling point.
Yeah, I mean, I never would have expected first of all, I expected this to be more of a family movie, which it wasn't.
No.
There were drug references, there were curse words everywhere, and it was by far my favorite rendition. Maybe for those reasons, maybe not. But it was mature. But to see and hear Will Ferrell sing
Yes.
terrified me. I was like, this is going to be so hard. This is gonna be so hard. But I caught myself smiling, and he tried so hard, and it didn't hurt my ears. He's definitely not going into opera or anything like that, but
Right.
it
He's not
wasn't
going to get a Tony.
yeah, yeah, it wasn't bad, and it was so heartwarming. Beth Anne?
Well, I'm not so sure that people have to hit the depths of a bottom, or that maybe it's better said that everybody's rock bottom may be different. You know, which barrel are you in? And it goes to Octavia Spencer's
Yes.
song, "The View from Here."
Mm-hmm.
You know, from my view, this is how I came to be in this place, in this corner office, where everything is shiny and clean and way up from the world down below, and I'm detached, so I don't have to look at the ugliness that maybe I'm participating in. I think everybody's bottom of the barrel, everybody's barrel is different, and everybody's bottom is different.
Well, and I think that Ryan kind of addressed that. I'm so bad with the names, but his character, that was what Will Ferrell was saying, was, you know, it was, your bottom is not my bottom is much lower. Every time Will Ferrell tried to get him to his bottom, he's like, nah, that's not a big deal.
Yep, I can go lower yet.
Yeah.
I was struck. Number one, I love Octavia Spencer.
Of course.
There were some hidden, the view from here, especially as a Black woman fixing things and doing all the dirty work for a white man.
So
and
typical.
that was a little cringy.
Me too.
Me.
You know, it was the Black
like,
woman who was the savior of the Will Ferrell character of Scrooge.
Yes. Yes.
She was the catalyst. She was the enabler. She was the partner that he would rely on to, you know, keep him accountable in his new life.
Yes.
It's like, can you just stand on yourself, white man? Like, come on.
Exactly. This is so typical. Andrew?
Okay, I'm going to take one step back to what Anna was saying, or maybe it was Beth. I can't remember now. So Octavia's, you know, in the suite with her self-awareness and inability to let go of what she had, and you've got Ryan kind of on the flip side, literally not letting go and holding on to a certain disdain for the people around. So I thought that was an interesting juxtaposition between the two.
Yes.
Where one was aware and it was killing her inside. Yet the pressure of the world saying, this is everything that everybody ever wanted.
Yes.
This and is she's what looking I'm at it going, to have. Yeah. Realizing that her soul was gone. And Ryan wasn't, you know, he stubbornly held on to that. He even right at the very tippy end there, I wrote like 2 pages down on all these wonderful moments right at the end. I told you, I'm not letting go of this.
And
you know, I told you, like, what are you acting like you just met me?
Yeah, exactly.
When you got to the crux of what he was holding on to, or what he was refusing to see, like he had to internalize, I'm a horrible person, so I'm just going to play out all the horribleness that I am, and that whole, not really, it was a self-fulfilling prophecy, but it also was a self-propelling prophecy. Mm-hmm. It was as if he was trying in so many ways to, trigger warning, commit suicide of his internal self, mm-hmm. of the big brother, of the one who was supposed to take care of everyone, to include his daughter.
I know people like that who take pride in being an asshole.
Sorry. Niece, sorry. But yes, that I was keenly aware of that, and I was also a little pained because I've done that. I have done that to myself. And so it was oh God, just stop already. Just stop.
One thing that jumped into me, because I was pulling it back and forth between the traditional story and pulling in religious themes, and comparing the same two characters. You got one who they're both self-aware of sin, but in different ways. You know, like, what? Why are you bothering me when there's serial killers out there? Well, and what? Yeah, why were we trying to redeem him? What damage was he doing, as they were saying in the ripples? So, not saying we shouldn't try. Should we try to save serial killers? But you know, in the effect on the world definitely affects the people and the families involved, as opposed to what this fellow's up to, where it's a huge destructive path and going, well, people, and then like this, and then it's not my fault. I just put it there, and then they said,
Very.
I didn't do anything.
Events. Very current events.
I just made the suggestion, and they ran with it. Not my fault.
Right. Yeah. I found the what was it? The thing where not just the abdication of responsibility of the Ryan Reynolds character, but that he was very astute in pointing out to Scrooge. How many centuries have you been doing this, and has the world gotten any better?
Right.
Are you an is what you're doing here an exercise in futility?
Well, and that I have so many non-religious points, but that kind of brought the image of Satan and Jesus, it was, and it also reminded me of a saying that my mom used to say all the time is you can't clean mud. And so when Will Ferrell jumps in and says, no, he's not irredeemable. And then Will Ferrell ends up falling. It was like, well, you can't clean mud,
Yeah.
You mix water and dirt, you get mud. So it was, but on the non-religious side, I loved the point being love and help your neighbor. And, that's all that matters. The wealth doesn't matter. I felt like if I formed a religion that a lot of their songs would be, because it was love your neighbor. That's all that matters, and that's everything I've been saying. And going to saying, look, the wealth doesn't matter. It's not going to keep you happy. It's not going to do any of those things.
Yeah. The heart of the Dickens story with it being completely not overt.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's one of the old ones. He walks in, humanity was my responsibility. No, that was in the background there of the ripples.
Yeah.
The ripples for me had so many layers of meaning. And to me, when they were considering and talking about the ripples and the ripple effect, it was all about, I saw kingdom building.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely.
I call it kingdom because I have a problem with kingship, but that's just me.
Same.
And how they said, and once if you're saying I am redeemable and I believe it, how do I keep this up day in, day out?
Yeah.
And the answer was to get up every day and make the choice.
Yeah. Wasn't that a good question? Wasn't that the best question? Because at the end of the old story, right? Everybody's happy. The Tiny Tim is saved. Everybody's fantastic. The world is great. And even as a little kid, you're left with a but.
I remember going,
right?
My house would play it like on Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
Love that movie. And I'd be like, yeah, right. It doesn't happen that way.
But they covered that. I watched it twice. The first time, just with my mouth open. But then the second time being very, very careful. And right at the end there, I missed it the first time, where he's out there yelling at his kids going, sorry, sometimes the old guy comes back.
Yes.
That's what I loved about this one. It didn't have that illusionary fairy tale ending that all is well. And, and that's what I really liked about it. It was real.
Perfection isn't the goal.
Exactly.
Living the choice, making the choice, dusting yourself off out of the mud yet again, and making the choice again.
And how hard that is, and why it is so much work on a daily, moment by moment basis. I appreciated that. I so appreciated the humanity of, you're going to fuck up. And you can fix it. You can come back. It'll happen again. You can come back. Just keep the skating rink, the falling and the getting up, and the falling and the getting up. I didn't catch that the first time. And I don't know if that was intentional, but I took it as, what a wonderful point of underlying theme there. You're going to fall, you're going to get up, you're going to fall, you're going to get up. And in the meantime, everybody else is doing their own skating as well.
And Will Ferrell made a really conscious acting choice. If you notice throughout the movie, he kind of bounces up.
Yes.
Except at the end.
Yes.
When the old guy comes out, he pushes on his knee, forces himself up, and goes, "Ugh." Sometimes that old guy comes out again.
Yep.
Yes.
I was like, I'm crushing. I'm crushing Will Ferrell right now. I was like, boy, the vulnerability that he related in this film was just.
He did well.
Very well.
And I think that, to answer the question of do people change, I think a big part of the complexity to that answer is change. And people are so afraid of change and what they're going to lose. My ex said at one point, who used to say that there was a reason for pussies, assholes, and dicks, and he justified being an asshole. But we went to a festival one time, and he said that his biggest fear was that he was going to come back a Democrat and gay. And so it was that, and I was like, that's the worst thing. I mean, both of those, and that fear of saying, who am I really? So I want to do an exercise that actually changed my life, that addresses change. And the people in the audience can do it. And I'm totally springing this on you three, so sorry, but really quick. So I want you to change something about your current environment. If you're at a desk, change something about your desk. Just do something very quickly to change something.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. Now.
Is that considered cheating?
I hope everybody in the audience did it. But how many of you added something? Did you all take something away?
I added a wall.
Remove something. Yeah, you removed an entire wall. Anna removed her glasses. Beth Anne, I didn't see what you did.
I turned off a light.
Okay, that's interesting. But the point is that most people subconsciously react to change as losing something. We instantly think change is giving away, rejecting something. This was done at a sales seminar with 350 people, and every single one of us took something away. So when you change your perception of change, that it could be added as opposed to losing something, then that makes people's change in your life, personal, job, all of those things, not so scary. So to ask if people can change, again, they have to want to. They have to see the problem, or else they won't. Humans just won't go, oh, let's just do this, if there's not some type of reason to. But if we don't fear that as much, then it's easier to do. Thoughts?
Well, there's always a consequence to change. There is always that something that comes after. I took my glasses off and now you guys are all fuzzy. So
you can put them back on.
Well, but what I mean is there is a give and take in every change that happens. There is a both and, a give and take. I don't know if it's really losing something as it is. You get a different perspective no matter what. Mine is fuzzy right now. For Andrew, you took the picture off, and then I noticed the screw or the thing in the wall, right?
Yeah.
But it gave me a different perspective, even as minor as that. And Beth, your shadows got your lips got a little bit redder. So there is something that comes out of change. And for me, that's a scary thing. What is going to happen if I do this? And the ending was kind of like oh shit, this happened. I didn't even think about it. I did it. Ryan Reynolds, I did not see that coming. I was like, oh my God.
I said more than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It caught me.
And it did.
And it should have been obvious. It was like the Sixth Sense all over again. What the hell?
Right.
You bastards.
And maybe that is kind of representative of change. What if it kills me? And then, so you got to say, what if it kills me?
It was a very Easter moment.
It was, right?
I felt like I went from Advent to Easter in this film. Because, what do we want to take away is a very Advent moment.
Right.
Because Advent I'm a liturgical nerd. I love ritual. Those weird scriptures about comes in a thief in the night. I'm like, I want my shepherds and my fuzzy sheep. But we pray in Advent, like, what do we want God to take away from us? And then, so that's where I went with it. But the ending of the movie was such an Easter moment. It was, am I willing to do love of neighbor to the point of death? And there was I was singing hallelujah that there was no punitive substitutional atonement theology. In there.
Yeah.
It was just, I'm willing to love you to the point that humanity says this is the end, but I'm telling you love goes on.
And it was love for a fellow being. It wasn't his niece. It wasn't his brother. It wasn't anybody.
It was everybody.
So close to him. It was a quote unquote stranger kind of.
The community.
Yeah.
Like, where is our community? Where is our church?
Yes.
It's everywhere.
Well, and the ending of that exercise on change was we actually had to give our neighbor something. And then it was the responsibility of that. Was it something special that we gained with this change? We now had to be responsible for that. So no change was, like you said, Anna, without consequence. When it was good, it usually came with responsibility. When it was bad, you feel like you've lost something. But if you focus on the positives for it, then you can grow to love your neighbor. Then you can get to the singing scenes and break out in song.
I want to go to the moment where, and it was a very scary one for me, as she was getting ready to do the whole social media slam, the whole slam book. And I was like, oh my God, don't, because these are just kids, right? And when they showed what could have happened, I wasn't ready for that big, deep, oh shit, they killed him.
Yeah.
I didn't think they would. I assumed that was the logical outcome.
Right.
Yeah.
And
when they did, I was, oh shit.
Yes.
They did
it. This doesn't just impact the boy and the students and his parents. The ripples, yes. And I was grateful, and then kind of ashamed that I was grateful that it wasn't real, because that's not the truth for so many, and we see it all over. the consequences of, even if it's social media, the virtual Mean Girl slam book that gets passed around, that does in so many cases end up in the death of someone. I was so relieved when that wasn't real, and then I felt kind of guilty at being relieved that that wasn't real.
Well,
and I'm not sure how to feel about that.
Yeah.
We never know someone's struggles, right? I mean, I think I was kind of blown away at all of the real life lessons and morality that was backed into this movie. Again, I watched the original with my mom. I kind of hated it. It was, this really was like, this is it was like a whole movie full of all of the inspirational memes and with a couple songs thrown in to say, look, these are the priorities that you should have. The ripple effects of your actions go everywhere. Like the butterfly effect movie really did that too. The morality packed into it, again, with those, the three actors, it was so pleasantly mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish they could have expounded just a little. I know it was just a movie on the bystanders, the new people that came in to do the helpers, those new recruits or whatever that came in.
Oh yeah.
How would that have impacted them to see what happened? They didn't come through the light, right? They didn't come through the light, and songs and everything got better. So what did that feel like? Bless you, bless you, bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean that raises a really good question, and I wonder what's on the cutting room floor.
Oh yeah.
Like,
director's cut.
Ooh, we're gonna lose our rating if we put this up there.
Yeah.
Right. Very true.
I mean, I have been like alerting my friends that are moms, going, you probably should let your kids watch this.
Yeah.
It's like Deadpool.
What's that?
Another Ryan Reynolds movie. People were like, "Oh, it's a comic book. It's a kid's story." No, it's not.
No, it's not. No, it wasn't.
Or is it?
It was not a.
I've taken my kids to all sorts of stuff. Yes. I took my at the time, how old is he? I guess he was around 10. We went to a residential school. I don't know if that's what they call them in the States. I'm in Canada here, but they didn't want to share the stories because like saying graphic doesn't catch it.
Yes.
And she was worried about the impact on my son. And my response was, well, we see the same stuff on the news every single day. And he was their age or younger when it happened to them.
Yeah.
So he needs to hear this, and someday he'll understand.
Actually, that's a good point. I feel I could watch it. I have a 10-year-old and a 9-year-old. I could watch it with them and engage in conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I think I could do that because it is one of those, it's not really happening to you, and this is what could come out of stuff if you're not careful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, totally. The message should be given to children. I'm just talking about this rendition with the the one night stand and all of, I was thinking, oh my God, my mom's head would be exploding right now. I mean, again, I loved it for those reasons.
At the same time, that's all over TV and you don't know. Yeah. They just flick it on. You don't think about it because it's so pervasive. I once heard a rating of a movie. I'm like, what? I think it was Dr. Dolittle, and it was whatever religious movie thing, family friendly or whatever. And they're like, there's all this swearing and this and that. I'm like, what? So I put the movie back on within 10 seconds. Like, I was so desensitized to it.
I caught ecstasy, LSD, and marijuana in their references.
Exactly. I didn't even notice that.
Molly.
Yeah.
I caught Molly.
Yeah.
But kids are like, they're like, yeah, I hear about that every day.
And that's what my girlfriend said. She's like, oh, they're so past that. I'm like, okay, maybe it's because I yeah, I'm old.
So if you were
but our kids are preyed upon.
character,
That's all out there. So if we don't talk to them about it, it's
if you
important.
were a character on there, where do you see yourself in all those characters? Who would you be?
I would be Scrooge. I really would. I mean, I was looking at my transition of my life. I mean, I was never mean like he was, but it's just as far as I've grown and who I've become. And I mean, I have a lot of shame about the person that I was as a teenager. I have a lot of shame over that. You know, there's reasons, there's justifications, there's all of that. But that doesn't change the fact that those things still happened. So to be able to restore and to pay that penance, I kind of feel like that.
I say good day.
Good afternoon.
Hey.
Oh my God, that was
good
family show.
But I was like, it even sounds like fuck you. It was great.
It's all in how you do it.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
That's true.
Jerry, I agree with you, except I was more on the side of atonement and redemption. Am I good enough? Did I do? You know, like we're all sloppy in one way or another.
Oh, totally.
And as I always use my Bible study groups, nobody's a serial killer in this room, more than likely.
More than likely.
More than likely. We're serial killers, but you know, probability-wise, we're just slobs. You know?
Because you brought up serial killer earlier, and it got me thinking. You know, would a serial killer be redeemable? And in the line of you need that trauma, you need that shock to get you out, to wake you up, so you do create the change.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't being a murderer? It makes you impervious to that shock. So that would be an irredeemable.
Yeah, when you bring psychology into it, how do you redeem somebody who is like that? Which was another interesting theme in the movie, because there was like an active redemption going on. You know, the works or whatever you want to phrase it, versus you go to the classical one of Jesus died for our sins. So where does works fit into that? So we got a Lutheran.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan even said at one point, "I didn't kill anybody."
Yeah.
Yes,
you know,
but
I'm not that horrible.
He did, right?
No, that's not how it's.
He doesn't know if he killed anybody.
Yeah.
The ripple effects, and I say this both from a military perspective. The military is a killing machine. That's what it's for. Yeah. And if somebody were to ask me, "Did you ever kill anybody?" Before, I would have said, no, I didn't. I may have pulled triggers. I never shot anybody. And yet everything I did was intricate and woven into, I could name off several deaths, several mass murders. So there is a whole, 6 degrees of separation. Mm-hmm. So was Ryan Reynolds, was his character a murderer? He doesn't know.
Well,
he would have been known.
Yes, right. He asked about it in the song.
Oh, he did ask about it? Did they tell him? He says,
I spent every waking minute taking all that I could take, never stopped to reckon with the ruin in my wake.
Oh, yeah.
With all the bridges that I burned, all the wounds I didn't mend, all the worth I thought I earned, it turned worthless in the end. What was it for?
I'm just amazed that you got that and you can rattle that off like that. I am so impressed. You are like, with me right now.
And do I deserve to find that there's a soul who could see any good in me?
Mm-hmm.
And boy, was that a pointing to, for me, that was like such a Jesus moment.
Yes.
Becoming the self-awareness.
Who could see
change.
Good in you.
Yeah. The change in self-awareness. Yes. Whereas before it's like, they're all like that. We're all like that. Who cares? Human nature. Versus
and once he saw the ripple,
once
he saw that someone could die because of his actions.
Yeah.
But,
when people hate it when you point it out. I have a bad habit of that.
Talk about
We're
Jesus
all culpable
moments.
in different ways.
Did he have to die for the movie to be effective?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Well, I think it kind of proved the level of trauma that needs to occur for someone to change. I mean, that's why I asked the question in the beginning. It was like, how low does someone need to go? Probably depends on them. And he was completely unwilling to change until he saw it concrete that someone was going to die for his reactions. Until then, he was like, eh. Like you said, Andrew, eh.
Yeah, he fixed that one.
Somebody cried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what you were saying before, Sherry, that the exercise you gave us tied back into some other things. I was wondering about the difference between individual action and society and human nature. Like, you already proved the human nature that, and we know this, when we talk about change, people can only envision loss, and they've measured loss of being anywhere from 3 to 12 times the impact. Even though we know, we've got this other study that says, if you do something nice, you get endorphins, and this happens and that happens and wonderful things. But if you fear loss, the impact is mounting its way to terror. Even though you got your left side and the right side of the brain fighting each other, and the side worried about the loss and change, even though you know. And Ryan's playing that against people. I thought that was interesting at the beginning about people. And yes, we know that all of that is real. Everything they did in the movie was real in how we act. And we do things even when we know better, and mob rules and all those other human characteristics.
And the fear.
And you had Octavia kind of under the water and Ryan over the water, kind of in the denial sense. So she's drowning in it, and he's just using it to float his boat.
So for her, was it culminating, or was it one last straw? Was it the totality of what she'd been doing for him, or was it just the fact that it was a kid? That's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to
the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
I think for her, it's like adults. She could rationalize it by saying adults are fair game,
but not the kids.
But kids aren't fair game.
Okay, so maybe she was using my metaphor. She was above the water, and in that moment, she went down.
Well, and one of my favorite sayings that very few good things that I got from my father. I have all religious people on here, so it adds another twin. But justification is just like masturbation; you're only fucking yourself. Sorry, Beth.
I had it in here, but worded differently.
Yeah. So
a self-licking ice cream cone. That's the way I heard it, but both the same.
So yeah, but that I really saw that, and that really came through in her character. It also, I have been kind of like a change Olympian for my entire life. I literally went to like 18 schools. I've moved over 30 times. And with her character chickening out in before she quit the first time, it actually extended it welled up some grace in me, because my first reaction was, just do it, you coward. Just do it was my initial reaction, because again, I've had so much change. I've built this up. But it immediately turned to grace to go, oh my God, she's so afraid. She's got so much to lose. And just that switch of mentality, again, the perception of everything, was something fortunate that I experienced. It was, to say, okay, Sherry, not everyone is a change Olympian like yourself. And there was a point you were scared too. So it goes, again, to that fear and why people don't make that change. And she felt it. She felt, even as passionate as she was, she knew this was the last straw. She couldn't do it.
I love the fact that for Scrooge, Will Ferrell, in the original Dickens, his transformation was a moment.
Yeah.
But the movie's overall message was, for most people, it becomes a daily choice.
Yes.
And it's so true, right?
Right. Forgiveness doesn't just happen like bam.
Yeah, where's Mike?
Groundhog Day.
You have to go over and over and over. Yes.
It's a muscle.
To choose the next better thing. And I think it's why in the Hebrew and the Christian scriptures and also in the Muslim, it says, don't be afraid, don't be afraid, don't be afraid, don't be afraid, don't be afraid. And I think that daily choice is standing in resistance to the fear.
Totally.
It's a subversive act to the fear that we have.
There was something, I can't remember if I saw it or heard it or read it. I'm in the middle of finals papers, so it could be something.
Yeah, me too.
But it spoke to fear, as in fear is not good or bad. It's how we leverage it. Yeah. How we leverage it and how we allow it to leverage us. It's both of those sides. It can be good. It's meant to be helpful and keep us safe. And in a lot of cases, not used properly. And who in their childhood has ever been taught how to fear correctly? Mm-hmm. When used improperly, it can lead to anger and hate and violence, or it can lead to depression and suicide. Yeah. So that fine line of being afraid, it's a God-given gift, and we don't know how to use it. It is a lot, like you said, it is a daily, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this?
Wayne Dyer actually helped me with my fear of change in really examining what is real and what is fantasy. Mm-hmm. And when you remove the, oh my God, I'm going to die from the equation, like you said in the beginning, Anna, what if you do?
Yes.
Most of the time, you're not going to die. So when you remove the, perceptions that aren't there and you get to the reality of the fear and what you really have to fear, that's where I go instantly. What's the worst case scenario? And then I figure that out, and then I figure out if I can deal with that. If I can deal with that worst case scenario, everything's gravy after that, because it can only go up from there. Yeah. So, if I change this, if I give up this, if I do this, what's the worst case scenario? If I can't, then I'm not doing it.
I'm kind of the opposite. I'm excited all the time for possibilities.
Nice.
I don't know if that was a change in my life, but that's one of the things that I have to wrestle with in ministry, is trying to get people to rethink that. What are the opportunities? Ryan didn't care about opportunities. I got it good. People suck. And then with the whole,
he had it all.
What do I have to lose? What did I earn? This is not right. The angst of actually dealing with it. So for me, one of the things I use quite often is yes and no are really easy. It's when you hit the gray areas.
Yes.
Right.
So if you say no all the time or yes all the time, that you see that in politics, the black and whiteness, that is easy. Never. Well, what about? You throw in the what about, pick, everybody's favorite example. I'm surrounded by ladies. So it's never right. Well, what about?
Yes.
Never. Yes. Okay. Well, that's easy for you, isn't it? That's what about? It's the gray areas.
Can we talk about Bob Marley really quick?
Yes.
He wasn't allowed to change. He did because somebody brought up the atonement, right? Mm-hmm. His whole work was changing other people's lives. He was never allowed to change. Mm-hmm. Where was his gold pocket watch?
Or he's addicted to power?
Okay, now, first of all, you lost me. I don't remember Bob Marley in the movie whatsoever, so I'm sure this is a tangent.
Jacob Marley.
This is a tangent, right? But anyway.
Oh, Bob Marley, Jacob.
Yeah. Come on.
Don't worry about a thing. Jacob Marley.
Yeah, it took me. My brain was going. I didn't realize he struggled musically.
Yeah, I was like, Bob Marley changed the world. What are you talking about?
He had been Bob Marley.
Isn't it interesting that Jacob Marley was named Jacob because Jacob means usurper?
Ooh, ooh.
Just throwing that out of there, my little wordsmithing love of word nerdiness. That is me. You know, was he usurping the role of Scrooge?
Mm-hmm.
By giving him the watch, or
by
changing?
By never changing.
Because there was a point.
Not making a decision is making a decision.
Yes. So he didn't choose to retire. Is that what you're saying? He didn't choose that. Now I have to go watch it again because I know. He did say something about not being able to. I got to go watch it again. He and Scrooge were talking about their lives, their functions, where they came from, and how they ended up there. And at the end, it hit me that, oh my God, Jacob Marley is in purgatory or limbo forever, leading all the souls out.
Yeah. Maybe it was his calling.
Maybe. I'm going to have to watch it again. I didn't take notes. Andrew, you just...
Yeah, I'm the dork.
I'm super impressed. You're that good kid in school, and I'm the one going, hey, you took notes for this. What do you have for?
Well, there's so many things, you know, and the backsliding, and you know, and I keep bouncing it between, you know, real people and real human nature, and they did a good job of kind of capturing that.
Yeah,
we had Will there struggling with the idea of atonement, which I don't know if they did it on purpose, but it kind of makes sense. I need to atone for all I've done. That's a natural thing, even though he got the redemption fair and square and didn't owe anything else. So we theoretically think, and he died 3 weeks later. So he didn't get to put into action the stuff he wanted to do. Ryan Reynolds fell into the same trap.
Well, and
where he moved into, I hope it's not spoilers for people who haven't seen it yet, but moving into that space where he got to continue this idea of his own making amends.
And he got the girl.
Changes.
He got the girl.
And then back to Jacob there. Did he have his own problems with power? Because sometimes things went out of control and he souped in there. No, you're going to say the script. Was that by design? You know, I love overthinking things. So that was an interesting one.
One of the other things that it did for me was kind of re-emphasize my belief in the scales of life. Because, you know, it's like as soon as he made his atonement, he died 3 weeks later. And then, you know, and then they got hit by the bus and all of that. But it was when you die, you know, the good has to be heavier than the bad. And it also, you know, in believing that, it removes the hellfire and brimstone and all of those things. So I was also really glad that it touched on that and to make things right.
I'm glad there was no hell. I'm glad they didn't show that. That would have disappointed me greatly as far as oh God, you went there.
Yeah.
You went there.
On a side note,
there was no heaven.
Yeah.
There was no heaven.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's only here.
Heaven. Yes.
And the love.
The present moment.
On a side note, did any of you catch that Kevin Hart was, for the first time ever, the tallest person in the movie?
Yes. Yes.
I loved that for him. I absolutely loved that for him.
I like the tombstones.
Yeah, those are cool.
Those are kind of cool. Oh.
Yeah.
Do I want something like that? On one hand, remember that was an interesting moment too, where it didn't bother him. Oh, I lived to be 93. That's all pretty good.
Yeah.
And kind of missing the larger point of life.
At first he was like, I don't want to know. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the point of life? You know, he with the most toys when he dies wins. Mankind was my job.
Yeah, I mean, granted, I still love my shoes and my bags, but I just, now my priorities are so different I just don't see wealth as winning. I mean, Elon Musk disgusts me. He would be Scrooge at this point, in reality and what he's doing. I mean, that's part of the reason why I love the movie so much, was because it did get to the essence of, spend the money changing the world to make a better place. Love your neighbor. Don't be an asshole. All of those really good moral lessons with sideline stories to kind of back them up and to make you think and to make us even sit here for almost an hour talking about this. Will Ferrell would be honored, I'm sure. But I loved the whole positive nature about it that made it real and not some fantasy that, Tiny Tim's going to get his leg or whatever.
Yeah.
So the question is, what is human nature? Up my way, we've got commercials for a lottery. I don't know if American ones do it this way, but they all have a little theme where, imagine the freedom, and they have people bringing all their friends to a dinner on the top of a mountain. They go skiing all by themselves. Yet they've done surveys with people, and the people say, well, I'm going to go to a soup kitchen. I'm going to feed everybody. I'm going to put my kids through school. I'm going to create this, that, and the other thing, which is completely against what's being sold. Which is interesting to me. That what people would do. Too. Yeah.
If you won the lotto tomorrow, what would be different? And I said, well, my job description would be philanthropist. And then my friend said, that's not any different than what your job description is now, except your currency is love.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
I hope you hugged that friend.
I love that.
And isn't that the essence of living a life of faith and neighbor love? We're called to be philanthropists of love.
Yeah.
And in a way, because we say the same thing. If we want, you start going down your list of people that need things. Oh, well, I could get this for this person, this for this person. College, homes, pay off debt, send this person to the hospital. For me, it comes from having nothing and not wanting anybody to be in that position.
Absolutely.
Be without. It comes from that. So I was wondering just now, if Ryan Reynolds' character had lived, would he have changed?
Every day you got to get up. And sometimes that old guy's there.
From that, no. I mean, I don't think he had. I think too much of the dirt and not enough of the water was making him mud. Because he had too much of the gold and the riches and the wealth that was made from him being an asshole. I don't know that he would have given that up.
I didn't want to start thinking about that because I think that would have ruined the movie and Ryan Reynolds for me.
Yeah.
But I wondered that. What if he had popped up out of the back of the truck? And we said, spoiler alert.
Yes, we warned you.
Sorry.
Open the show with that.
That was the fine print. You have to read the fine print.
Sherry warned you. She said, "Come back."
I wasn't happy that he died, and at the same time, I couldn't see him changing any other way, because that kind of took the choice, the everyday choice of changing, out of his hands. You saw it with Will Ferrell's Scrooge. Because he had gone all this way wanting the house and the children and the partner to spend time with. He wanted life. And so for him, he wanted that change. I don't know how long it would have taken, or if it would have taken, Ryan Reynolds' character to change. And I don't want to think that way either, because then I go back to who is redeemable and who isn't. And I don't want to given my current life situation, with that very question for somebody I dearly love, I don't want to go down that road.
But I think it's kind of, and not to minimize what you're going through in any way, shape, or form, but I think the question is kind of simple, is whether or not they want to. I think everybody is capable of growth and change and learning and becoming a better person if they want to. We see that in all aspects of life. If you really don't want to, it's not going to happen. People say that to me about my smoking every day. If you really wanted to quit, you will know it's really hard. If you really wanted it, it would happen. So it goes back to, if, can people change? Totally, if they want to. It's really that simple, right?
I don't know. I don't know. I was an
People get
alcoholic.
trapped.
14 years old, I was drinking bottles, hiding bottles in my locker at school. As a young adult in the military, single, that's all I did was get literally pass out drunk. Yeah. I changed. The only reason I changed was because I had kids. I got pregnant, and that was cold turkey. I had to. Yes, it was a choice, but if I hadn't gotten pregnant, would I have had a big enough reason to change? That's like one of those forks in the road, right? That, well, you can't turn around and go back. You just got to keep going forward. I don't know.
Well, and you had the option to not.
Yeah.
There are many people who continue drinking through their pregnancy.
Exactly.
So you did, you were presented with something and you chose that change.
So Will's mom, she was a bit of a disaster. I didn't see any redemption or help there.
Yeah.
She's arguably a worse person.
Yeah.
Or at the same time, let's be a little less judgmental. She's a fairly normal person.
Yeah.
There was nothing unique about that character or made up.
No.
Yeah.
No, but and again, it was, if you want to heal, it was trauma-based. It was, again, I related to it because one day I came home and my mom said, "Your dog's gone." And the dog, it was in reverse of the movie. He was supposed to be getting a dog and mine just disappeared. They were traumatic events that made it, that made those things. Again, it was a justification for, this vile human he became. But those are all the building blocks. I don't think anyone just without reason or recourse is mean or horrible, unless there's something psychologically wrong, unless there's a mental, trauma breeds trauma, hurt people, healed people heal people. It's all of what you have inside.
And we saw what happened when Ryan Reynolds took him back to that place, back to that good afternoon. He fed him and fed him and fed him and fed him. And what happened? What happened?
He started to say, yes. Is redemption then a choice?
Yeah.
And is it totally a daily choice? Or is it, or am I going to go down my theology hole and say, Calvin, let's call up Calvin. John Calvin said, no. Redemption, once it's one time, it's forever.
Redemption is a big, complicated word. A minute ago we were talking about, it's so unfair that he died, which you brought up. Well, it's not fair. He wasn't very upset. It's just a perfunctory, that's not fair. But do you need to be alive to be redeemed? That's where Scrooge or Will Ferrell was stuck. He was alive and he was still working his way through redemption.
Oh, I don't think you do. And I take that from Mitch Albom's book, The 5 People You Meet on the Way to Heaven. I think it's always a journey. So maybe I go with the yes, you can be redeemed. Some people take a lot longer than others. Some people get it right away. Some people have to hit the bottom of the barrel. Some people are just there. Some people are always there, always the good person. That's not me.
I don't think anyone is redeemable if they don't seek redemption.
Do you have to have an interrupter in order to be put on a different path? Do you have to have the stone in your little stream?
Yeah.
How does a narcissist get redeemed?
Ooh.
You know, when you throw something more complicated in, where there are people that recognize and go, there is something extremely wrong with me, and they get medication and doctors, but how many actually do that? Because technically, within their own head, a narcissist is fine.
Yeah, and that's what I said earlier.
The rest of the world is all screwed up.
You've got to accept the problem. So, you know, to say, well, I've done nothing to make myself better, I expect to be redeemed. I think that's kind of narcissistic and unrealistic also. Redemption. And that was also seen in the movie because Scrooge, Will Ferrell, had spent 2 centuries redeeming himself.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
to
say, didn't believe it.
And still doubted. Did I do?
Still doubted. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Do you think Jesus ever asked, did I do enough? Do you think Jesus ever asks that?
Well, that's what I was saying about the scales of life.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, we're already at the top of the hour.
No, we're not. We've only been doing this for 10 minutes.
It feels like it, huh? Thank you all so much for chatting about this wonderful movie and for giving all of the spoiler alerts that I warned everybody about.
Go see it.
Go see it.
You can still
watch
see
it
it.
again.
Yes.
Take a friend.
Still see it.
Beth Anne, you
have your own group.
What's that?
Have your own group.
There you go.
Yeah, I think you can see that 4 people that technically just met face to face are so engaged with this.
It was that good. Okay, Beth Anne, you are up top. So any final words and where can people find you?
Oh, Boston University School of Theology.
Okay.
Don't graduate till May. Yay! MDiv. And then they'll be able to find me in September in Vietnam. I'll be the ethics person for my husband's nonprofit.
Cool.
There.
That's so cool.
I want reports.
Yes.
Well, you can find them on Steadfast Community on Facebook.
Okay.
And a guest room.
And a guest room. Yeah.
And a guest room. Okay. Andrew, any final words and where can people find you?
You can find me on Facebook. Google me. I've done a few things that got me into papers. For good reasons.
I was going to say all good, I hope.
And I live in Leamington, Ontario, which is the most southern part of Canada, which is even with the top end of California.
Oh.
There's your trivia of the day. We got pretty good wine, so.
Okay.
Yeah, when you only ever see a flat world, you lose the perspective. I'm even with Spain, southern France, and California.
Nice.
Wow.
Okay.
And I don't know where I'm heading next, so waiting for God's call.
Okay. Anna, any final words and where can people find you?
I am writing about Paul in 1 Corinthians, and I absolutely hate it.
I can.
Speaking of holier than thou.
Yeah. Speaking of narcissists.
Be perfect, like the author.
The whole sexual immorality and all that other stuff.
Oh my God! Someone should do a biblical Christmas Carol.
Oh.
Ooh.
Paul would be Scrooge.
He would. Facebook post.
Paul was no fun. Don't drink. Don't have sex.
He was sexually repressed. That's where I'm at.
Such a bummer.
He was never married. He was sexually repressed. He was. You should be like me. Yeah. He just needed
because I'm the authoritative apostle.
He needed a
because
good
I hallucinated.
That's
That's a whole nother show.
That is. Anyway, that's it. Be kind, love each other, everybody. You are redeemable. Do it every day.
Yes. Just take that step. Okay, everybody, I will see you backstage. I thank you so very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Another great show. I love our guests and that we get to chat every week. Next week's show is on how to instill peace. So we are going to talk about making the world a better place through peaceful action and figuring out exactly what that is. Thank you so much to our guests. Thank you for watching. Hit that like and subscribe, share with your friends, get the conversation started, and make sure that you walk in love. Have a wonderful week. I'll see you next week. Mwah. Bye.